Hey, this is James Arthur Ray. I'm the author of the New York Times bestseller, Harmonic Wealth. And I'd like to take a couple of minutes here today and chat with you about three qualities that I've been discussing lately. If you're reading my blog, which I hope you are, you notice I sign off on every blog with three things. If you're on my email list, which I hope you are, you notice I sign off every email with these three things. And they are stay awake, love life, and be epic. Now, I've gotten a lot of comments. People are like, well, James, I really like that. Or James, why are you using that now? Or James, what do those things mean? Well, let me give you a couple of insights into those three qualities and characteristics, if you will. First of all, stay awake. Staying awake is a much bigger job, in my opinion, than just getting up in the morning and not going back to bed, if you will. Staying awake is being really awakened to what life and living is all about. I submit to you that very few people are truly awakened to what life and living is all about. And fundamentally, the purpose of life, which so many of us ask about, is to live. The sole purpose of life is to live. And what does it mean to live? It means to fuller expand, experience, and express. You follow that? To further expand or to grow, experience, to have new experiences, and to have creative expression. Each of us has our own unique abilities, what I call innate abilities, and to develop those and to utilize those as creative expression. You know, Leonardo da Vinci stated once, I awakened only to find that the entire world was still asleep. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's go to the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. Stated when he was asked, are you enlightened? He said, no, I'm not enlightened. And they said, what are you? He said, I'm awake. Now, certainly to Da Vinci and to Gautama Buddha, being awake was much more than just opening our eyes. Maybe metaphorically we open our eyes, but just to physically open our eyes and get out of bed is not necessarily being awake. To be awake is to see life clearly, exactly as it is. To understand that there's no magic pill, there's no secret sauce that's going to get you to a place where it's all rainbows and roses. That life has no magic, but it is magical. To truly wake up is to be fully human, to be integrated, to be whole, W-H-O-L-E, and to recognize that the peaks as well as the valleys have beauty within them. Because it's in the peaks where we implement what we have learned in the valleys. You with me? It's those tough times in life, those challenges that cause us to grow, to stretch, to become more, to fuller expand, experience, and express, which is the purpose of life. You see, nothing can work contrary to its essence. And so if the fundamental life principle is animating this universe, which it is, and it's operating through you, which it is, then the only thing life can be about is more life, even if it looks contrary. To be awake is to realize that those things that appear to be taken away are actually also bringing to. Because every single loss has a corresponding gain. To awaken is to embrace both pleasure and pain in the pursuit of our purpose. To go after our purpose, to define first and foremost what that is. And then to wake up and realize that life is not easy. Please don't ask for an easier life. That's illusion. Wish instead for greater capacity and capability to get through the challenges life brings. Because challenges, once again, it's the austerities, difficulties, challenges, the adversities that cause us to really grow, to become stronger, greater, better, more wise. So that's part of staying awake and really, truly being awake. I'm excited about that because, you see, I find that in many, many cases, particularly in personal development and spiritual development, we're not awake. We're pursuing some magic pill, secret sauce. We're pursuing some fantasy and saying that at some point we'll arrive. Have you gotten there yet? I certainly haven't. Love life. Well, love life kind of dovetails into being awake. Love life or love fantasy? Which one is it? I wrote an entire blog series. I hope you'll read it on do you love life or do you love fantasy? You see, truth be told, most of us are in love with fantasy. We think that we want to collect all the quarters in the world, but we only want the heads and not the tails. Well, how many quarters are you going to get? You see, the law of polarity states that every up has a down, every right has a left, every in has an out, and it cannot be otherwise. If you're going to accomplish an up, there's a corresponding down that comes with it. Every loss has a gain. And so when we tend to lose in the external world, we tend to gain in the internal world. You follow that? Because you see, when we're not as busy out here going, doing, having, then we tend to reflect. We introspect. We tend to become more. And as we become more, then the cycle continues. And by the law of rhythm, another law of the universe, it's time once again to come out with that and to utilize that in the external world. You see, seasons come and seasons go. There's a season to sow inside, and there's a season to reap outside, but they're not the same season. They're different seasons. To love life is to embrace both of the polarities, the full spectrum, to realize that pain can be transmuted into power, to realize that in our suffering we find salvation, to realize that what appears to be a mistake, the times and the places where we stumble or where we most often potentially find our greatest gifts. To love life is to love the entire experience. Remember, that's the second quality of this universe, to expand experience. We have to have the experience. You see, if you want someone to teach you who has not had the experience, who has just read some books or hasn't really gone through the pain and suffering of life, then how are they going to help you when you hit those tough times? Which you will. That's part of life. And while the tough times hurt and they're challenging and they're difficult, through wisdom we can step back from a higher perspective and we can love it all. We can love life, the process of being alive, because the sole purpose of life is to live. And finally, be epic is all about utilizing your own uniqueness. You know, some people go on epic adventures in the world that we would define as epic. Other people become epic parents. Other people become epic teachers. Other people become epic accountants. It really doesn't matter. You see, you have an innate God-given ability. And when you understand that innate ability and you leverage it in the service of others, when you leverage it in providing value, then you're living an epic life. You're living an epic life. You're not avoiding risk, you're embracing risk. Because again, loving life says that you want the full experience, right? Sooner than we know, we're all going to exit this physical life. It goes really quickly, doesn't it? Even if you live to be 120, it goes really quickly. And so when we come to the end of it all, we're not going to look back and say, boy, I'm glad I played safe. Boy, I'm glad I hugged the shore. No, it's those experiences, it's those adventures, it's an epic life that's going to fire us up. It's the challenges that are going to be lodged into our memory forever and ever and ever. Isn't that true in your life? You see, when you look back across your life, it's not those times when you said no that are really exciting to you. It's the times when you said yes, and the times when you refuse to say yes are when you have the greatest regret. So being epic is not defined as some heroic quest of typical definition. It could be. But it's being heroic enough to understand your own innate abilities, your own uniqueness, because there's only one of you. No one else can do you better than you. And so, you know, to envy another person is ignorance. To try to be someone else is really a lack of understanding, because there's only you, and you can do you better than anyone. You have innate abilities, God-given gifts. And as you understand and develop those innate abilities and you apply them, then you live an epic life. You might make mega money, you might make meager money, but it doesn't matter because you have meaning. You see, life is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be meaningful. We've lost that, haven't we? In our pursuit of acquisition and achievement in this society, in this world, we've lost the purpose in many, many ways. The purpose of life is to live and to have the experiences and to be epic and to stay awake. And not to say, I want a cushy life, but to say, I want an adventuresome life. I want an exciting life. I want an inspired life. Stay awake, love life, and be epic. I'll talk with you soon.